Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Tuesday night in the Spotlight. Tonight, it's just me that's joining you guys, and I did have someone on that was going to be chatting with us, but I haven't heard from them today, and this is just the way life goes sometimes. Is life doesn't go according to plan, and I've decided that that's what I'm going to be chatting to you guys about tonight, is that sometimes what we plan for ourselves is not necessarily the way things happen. And I know for myself, this was something I really struggled with way back at the beginning of my journey, was having a plan and having an idea of the way things were supposed to work out, and having to be okay when things didn't work out the way that I thought that they would. And I feel like the universe always has a greater plan for us than what we're able to create for ourselves, because we're only basing our own plans on the information that we've received in the past. It's not information that is coming from this kind of bigger and more expanded spot. So things don't always go according to plan, and sometimes we have to just trust that the universe knows better than what we know from our own limited experience. And there's so many different examples of this that I could bring forward right now, and maybe what I'm saying right now is exactly what someone that's on the live tonight actually needs to hear. And that's why the other person that was supposed to be on isn't on. Doris, it's okay if you're not here, because we're talking about things not going according to plan. So if the storm comes through and it takes your hydro away, let's just hope that you stay safe and you don't lose a big tree in your yard or anything like that. Because again, this is just the way things go. And even when we talk about the kids going back to school, I was given a lot of information about needing to kind of wait and see before saying I'm going back to work full time or anything like that. And yesterday we found out that school's been pushed back another week, and next week it might be pushed back another week as well. And this is what I'm talking about when it comes to just kind of going with the flow of things. And so often we get so caught up in wanting things to be in our control, but when we allow ourselves to let go of what that control is, we allow ourselves to really kind of embrace what it is that the universe is bringing forward for us, and to let go of that stress in our lives as well, because it can be stressful when you're trying to keep things in your control or in a certain way that you believe that they should happen. You end up kind of losing control of the entire situation in the first place. The only thing we really have control over is ourselves, is our reactions, is the way that we're presenting ourselves to the world, and making sure that we ourselves are in alignment with the future vision that we want to create. So if something's happening that's out of your control, or something's happening that's not going according to the plan that you had set out for yourself, just take a step back and ask yourself, well, what can I do to stay in alignment with how I want to create my world to be? It's a huge difference maker when it comes to how we receive the information that we receive from the world around us, because there's a lot of chaos happening. There's a lot of things that have come forward this year for a lot of people that is way out of our control. It's way out of the plan of what it is that we chose for ourselves this year. And once we allow ourselves to just kind of go with the flow of it, and allowing yourself to just kind of see, okay, where's this going to take me, and where's this going to take me? And it's not so much about fighting against the river that you're in, but rather that you're on that raft and you're just allowing yourself to drift wherever that raft is going to take you. And it can be very beautiful when you allow yourself to let go of that control. It can be very beautiful when you give yourself permission to just take that breather, to take that step back and allow life to happen with you rather than against you. I want to say for you. Sometimes it feels like it's not happening for you. Sometimes it feels like it's not happening in your own best interest. But in hindsight, it always seems like in hindsight, everything happened exactly for a reason. Now, I understand if you're going through trauma right now, if you're going through something very stressful, if you're going through a job loss or the death of a loved one or a health issue or whatever the case might be, I don't even want to say everything happens for a reason, because when you're in the middle of it, it absolutely stinks. But when you get to the other side of it, you can look back and you can see all of these things that started to happen because of this issue or this experience that you've had, no matter how stressful it was. Again, I do believe that the universe does truly have our backs, and the universe is always bringing us these little gifts. Even when things feel like they're totally out of our control, they're like, here's a little gift for you. Here's a little gift to help you remember that you're on the right path. Here's a little gift to help you remember just how awesome you are. With this whole COVID thing and our plans to do the Camino, and we're not doing the Camino until 2023 anyways, but one of the questions I've had coming up inside of myself, or a fear that I've had coming up inside of myself, is whether or not we're going to be able to do it. Is Spain going to be opened up again? Are we going to be able to travel the world again? And so I started saying to the universe, like, just send me a sign that we're going. And I had a friend who messaged me, and she's like, I don't know if you've seen this video or not, but she talks about the Camino, so I thought I'd send it to you. So she sent me the video, and I hadn't seen it, and it was exactly what I needed to hear. And then a few weeks after that, another friend sent me an article. She's like, I wasn't sure if you've seen this, but here's an article about the Camino. And then I had another friend message, and she's like, I was on a walk and I seen you and your son walking on the Camino inside of my head, so I just wanted to send you this message because I believe this is what is coming forward for you when you guys walk the Camino. And then just last week, another friend messaged me, and she's like, I don't know if you've read this book in particular about the Camino, but I've got a copy here. If you want to borrow it, you're more than welcome to borrow it. And so I just finished that yesterday. And what each one of these individuals have done is handed me a gift to say, keep on believing and keep on trusting. And even though you can't always see what the end game is going to be about, even though you can't always see the hows or the what's or anything like that, that once you have a desire in your heart to actually move forward with something, the universe is going to do everything it can, whether it's just a little sign, like a friend saying, hey, here's a book about this topic that you're interested in, or whether it's something that much bigger, maybe a plane ticket or something that takes you to Spain. Just putting that out there to the universe. But it's really about just allowing yourself to receive what those gifts are, and to trust that every time you get that gift or you get that spark that says, I'm totally in alignment with what my future vision is, that is the universe giving you permission to continue to follow the dream. And look for the signs wherever you go. Allow yourself to see the signs that the universe is bringing forward for you. It could be as simple as a butterfly that flies past your face. It could be a conversation that you hear and you're like, God, that's exactly what I just needed to hear in this moment, because the universe is constantly working through other people. It's working through the music that we hear on the radio. It's working through the animals. It's working through the plants and the trees and everything, because it's all one connection, and it's all wanting you to see that the path that you're on for yourself is absolutely perfect. So Teresa's just saying, even you see what is supposed to happen, it can still be hard to be in the present. Yeah, sometimes it can be hard to be in the present, absolutely. But asking yourself, I think, why is this hard for me to stay in the present right now? What is it that I'm trying to either escape from by dreaming about the future, or what is it that I'm afraid to step into now by thinking about the past and how I could have changed it? And just being really honest with yourself about, where are you in the future? Are you in the past? When I think about the Camino, I get really, really excited for what that's going to be for myself. But I need to remind myself of where I am in this moment. I need to remind myself that the actions that I'm taking today are going to help me get into alignment for what I want to have happen in June of 2023. And my guides, and I work with my guides a lot, as you guys already know. I just posted last week about the Post-it challenge and everything that I have as a heart desire that's coming up right now, and kind of following what the heart's strongest desires are right now, and then moving into the smaller desires of the heart. Interestingly, both my husband and I, we couldn't get a solid answer on the Camino. And I feel like everything else that we have on our lists with those Post-its is really, these are the steps that we all need to take. When I say we all, I mean me and my husband, that we both need to take in order to help us get into the energy of what the Camino is. One of the big things when it comes to manifesting things in your life, when it comes to creating more of what you want, is really about taking the small steps now to align yourself with what you want that bigger picture to be. So if I say, I don't know, want to write a book. I am writing a book, but if I want to write a book and I just keep talking about wanting to write a book, but I never sit down at the computer to actually write the book, then I'm not actually stepping into that alignment with my future self to allow myself to create that for what it is that I want. So always asking yourself, is this in alignment for what I want my future to be? Is this choice that I'm making right now connected to choices that I want to see as results in the future? And just being really honest with yourself. I had a friend say that to me a few years back, that we were talking about house cleaning and how I don't particularly care for cleaning the house. And he said to me that the only reason that he cleans is to give it as a gift to his future self. And that really resonated deeply with me, because it's not so much, I never want to clean in the moment, but when I have a clean house, it sure feels really good. So every time I take an action to clean the house for my future self, it's really a gift that I'm just giving my future self so I can sit down and relax rather than thinking about the dishes that I still need to do in the kitchen. And again, this just, it all goes along with this whole idea of when you allow yourself to go with the way things are, when you allow yourself, I'm going to say, to live effortlessly in your existence, when you follow what those heart's desires are. And sometimes those heart's desires are, I want to gift this to my future self, so I'm going to make that choice right now. Everything becomes easier. The more in alignment you are with your soul, the easier the path becomes. And I feel like sometimes I go like this is my alignment and this is like my humanness, and we just kind of dance like this, because you're going through those human emotions and you're going through those human experiences. But beyond what the human body is able to hold on to and beyond what the human body is capable of doing, there's this soul self that sees all of these possibilities, and it dreams all of these bigger dreams, and it's more connected to the energy of things rather than what the human experience is. And so I feel like I dance, and I feel like a lot of us dance, where we go through these moments of like, you know, we're creating the most magical existence possible, and then we go through these moments where it's like, ugh, being a human is so freaking hard, and we dance and we dance and we dance and we dance, and it can be a very, very beautiful thing. I feel like I'm talking in circles here, which is interesting, because when I'm on here and I'm interviewing people, I feel a lot more confident than when I allow myself to just start free-flowing with the information, because I didn't even know until about 2 minutes before I got on what I was going to talk about. So yeah, that's that's where I'm at right now. We helped a friend move today, and that was also something that was against what the plan was for her when they moved into the house that they just moved out of. That was going to be the last time that they moved, and then life happened. And suddenly, about a month ago, she's like, yeah, we've got to move. Are you guys available to help the last weekend of August? Yep, sure, not a problem. And so we booked the weekend to be able to help them move. Well, then it turns out that they weren't getting the keys until 12 a.m. this morning, which turned out that they didn't get the keys until 9 a.m. this morning. And then it turned out that the previous people that were living in the house left all of this garbage in the house, so that had to be cleared out. And so it became like this whole thing of all of us having to adjust the plan and to make it as easy as possible, even though the plan that was in place was just not what was working out. And again, this is life, you know. And when I talk to clients and when I talk to friends, a lot of times we talk about the plans that aren't working out or the plans that we're making for ourselves. And I just wonder how much easier would it be for us to be able to just kind of sit back and ask the universe, ask God, whatever it is you want to call it, what is your plan for me? And to allow yourself to surrender to what the universe's plan is. To allow yourself to trust that you are so loved and so protected and so held by this greater force that you just trust that you're going to be okay without a plan. You know, this whole COVID thing has really been rocking people up and taking away a lot of plans. And yet we've all survived and we've all adjusted. And I've seen people really step into these new roles or learn these new skills or complete these different courses. And there's so much beauty that's coming out of so many plans gone awry. Is that the right way to say that? AWRY. That's what I'm trying to say. So, isn't it beautiful that we have the ability to create these ideas, to create these plans, but we also have the ability to just completely surrender. If the universe is giving us these ideas and these plans and these thoughts and everything else, and we go at it from our own limited perspectives, then we can sometimes create these little houses, you know, a little box that we need to hold on to. But if we trust and that box just kind of crumbles away and we allow ourselves to step into the limitlessness that we absolutely are, how much easier would life become? And Krista, I get it. Dropping the control, it is scary. It is absolutely scary. But so is trying to keep everything in your control because you're constantly having your expectations broken. And it's so much easier to just go, okay, I'm going to quote the Bible, thine will be done. Because regardless of what our plans are, if the universe has a different plan for us, the universe just has a different plan for us. I remember quite a few years ago, my sister was going to work, and I don't remember everything that she lost that day, but it was like her lunch pail she had forgotten at home. She couldn't find her keys. She got caught behind a really slow driver. There was like all of these things that were just like really pissing her off, and rightfully so, because human reactions. But what ended up happening, and she didn't realize until she got there, there was a tornado that was actually going over the highway that she needed to drive on. And had the keys been in the spot, had she had grabbed her lunch when she was supposed to, and had she not got stuck behind the slow driver, she would have been right in the path of the tornado. But because all of these things happened against what her plan was, she was totally safe, and she was able to see the destruction around the road that she was driving on, but staying completely safe. And that's the difference between really having everything in our control and having the universe take over, but realizing in hindsight that it's absolutely perfect. Can I get an amen? Amen. Yes, yes. Because yeah, life doesn't always work the way we want it to. And I realize it's a struggle, and I've been part of that struggle as well, when things aren't going the way you want them to, when things aren't working out the way that you think that they should, even when people aren't behaving the way that you want them to, or you're not able to control a relationship the way that you want to, or get the outcome of a relationship that you want to. We all have free will. We absolutely have free will. And that means that even if you're trying to control a situation into one specific way, it's not necessarily going to happen that way, because the other person has free will too. So you can do as many ohms as you want to, you can pray, you can meditate, you can do whatever the hell it is that you do to get into alignment with yourself. Doesn't mean it's going to change anyone else's behavior. The only thing you can do is figure out your own triggers in regards to what that behavior is, and come to a place of acceptance that this is just the way that this person is. Can't change them. This is just the way the situation is. Can't change it. And allowing yourself to move beyond this idea, because I do believe the idea of control, the idea of having to have things the way that we want them to be, it's a very limited perspective. Because again, like I was saying at the beginning of this, what we're trying to create for ourselves, we can only create from our own limited experience. It's only when we step beyond that limited experience that we can actually create something even bigger than what our limited experience has been. So how do you do that? You hand your trust over to God, the universe, angels, whatever it is that you want to call it. But if you're holding on to that control and you're saying it needs to be done in this specific way, then suddenly those walls become smaller and smaller and smaller, because you're trying to dictate the how. And the how is really none of our business. The how of everything, that's the part none of us can figure out. How is it going to happen? I don't know. The funny part is most people that I talk to, when they talk about these dreams that they have, when they talk about the life that they're trying to create for themselves, they'll say, you know, I've got this great idea and I want to start a business doing this, or I want to travel to here, I want to do X, Y, and Z, but I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know how I can do it, so I'm not going to start it until I figure out the how. But the how is the small part of the story. Because when I first created the Bitch Slaps from the Universe Oracle deck, my question was not, how do I sell these? It was just simply, I want to create. The how part, the universe can figure that out for me. And the universe did. They started to give me, send cards to this indie deck review place, send cards to these new age shops, whatever. And I still have results from how the universe decided that I needed to market those cards. Now, if I had to figure out the how before I even started creating the cards, I probably would have gotten too overwhelmed to even step forward with creating the cards and bringing a finished product, because I'd be like, well, how can I get this publisher? How can I get this store? How can I get how? And it takes away from the passion that you hold on to in your heart when you're creating something new. So Krista is saying, every time you look back, it always goes the right way, even if you think it's wrong in that moment. Universe is amazing. Absolutely, Krista. I couldn't agree anymore. That absolutely, it's always in hindsight that we can see just how beautiful things are and just how beautiful life is actually turning out. And I totally get the human experience. I have been one of those people who throw a temper tantrum at the universe and go like, what the hell, universe? Come on, really? I've cried about it, I've screamed about it, I've written poetry about it. When things are not going the way that I want them to go. But then in hindsight, when I'm able to take those deeper breaths, when I'm able to look back, I'm able to see that it turned out perfectly. It turned out just how it needed to be. And that is exactly, we're all in perfection right now. The Camino book that my friend let me borrow, it's called The Camino by Shirley MacLaine. And it was a really, really interesting take on the Camino. And to me, it wasn't so much about the Camino. It was about her own personal journey and about souls and how our souls incarnate. And a huge part of it was the separation of the self. So the way she spoke about it in the book was that these souls come to Lemuria, and Lemuria being like this area of land on Earth that was absolutely perfect. So it was like crystalline energies, and we were completely androgynous, which basically means we were male and female. And we would go into these golden pods, and we would think, I want to create a new soul, and we would be able to connect with the soul that we were wanting to bring forward, and we would just think about it, and then we would create a new soul. And really, really cool stuff. But they started to realize that it was like all very self-based. So they were self-actualized, they were self-aware, they were self-declared. Everything was very focused on the self. And so they decided on these soul levels that they wanted to have a separation of the androgynous. So to create the duality, they created the male, they created the female. And they basically split the soul into two to make a male and a female, so that we could experience this duality. And this is why we have relationships with people that are opposites. This is where we get our soulmates from, is from this soul that's been cut in half, and one part becomes the male, the other part becomes the female. But what I found to be most interesting about it was in that separation of the soul being split into two, and it doesn't necessarily have to be male or female. It could be two female souls that come out of one, or two male souls that come out of one. And this is where we get transgender, gay, lesbian, bisexual. All of that is because with these souls, they're wanting to reconnect, to be a whole piece again. And most of us will spend our entire lives thinking that we're not whole, thinking that we're not enough, thinking that we have to become something more. And what she was bringing forward in this book was really this idea around how can we support ourselves to be whole as is, because we come from a whole. When she talks about the great deity. I call it the universe. Some people call it God. Some people call it source. It doesn't matter what you want to call it. So she talks about the great deity and how we were whole coming from the great deity, and then we split so we could experience the duality. But we've spent now lifetimes upon lifetimes trying to get back to the whole, but we're not experiencing it yet because we're still creating this duality within ourselves, and we're creating conflict. And it was apparently in the Atlantis that the ego was developed, which created more separation, which created more of this conflict. And as I was reading this, I'm thinking, this is why so many of us don't see ourselves as being perfect. We're still whole. We are still... Our soul energy is 100% exactly as it needs to be. And we so often, and I myself do it, where I'm telling myself constantly, I need to heal this, and I need to heal this, and I need to forgive this, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But what if we're just already whole? What if who we are in this moment is absolutely complete? How much permission could you give yourself to create a life so much greater than what you already have if you stopped telling yourself you needed to heal, if you stopped telling yourself you had to get over, if you stopped telling yourself that you had to forgive or you had to become this other thing? What if we just seen ourselves as whole? Because I don't know about you, but for myself, like if I see a newborn baby, my heart, even just thinking about a newborn baby in my head right now, I'm like, they're perfect. They are absolutely perfect. They don't have to prove anything to me. They are just absolute perfection. But what changes? What is it within our human evolution as we grow older that tells us that we're not enough? That tells us that we're no longer perfect? Because that newborn, we're all still newborns every single day. It's a brand new day, so we're all newborn every single day. But we get all of these ideas and all of these expectations from a society that's dictating and telling us that we're not whole, that we need to have a certain brand of makeup, that we need to lose weight, that we need to be able to travel all year, we need to have the perfect house, or we need to. But what if we all just started telling ourselves that we are whole, that we are complete, that we are absolute perfection just as we are? And that doesn't mean we can't change. That means that who I am in this moment is perfect. And tomorrow, if I decide that I want to run a triathlon, that part of me is also perfect. That all of the new dreams that I have for myself, all of the ways I want to better myself are also a part of that perfection. But if I have a really bad day, if I want to lay on the couch and watch Netflix all day and eat junk food, that is also a part of my perfection. And I just want to invite everyone to really start looking at yourself and seeing yourself as just being complete, and seeing yourself as being whole, and seeing yourself as being you're perfection. And if we're all created from the image of God, or from the image of the universe, then there can't be anything wrong with us. Because if we're saying, the universe is always perfect, then we are always perfect as well. And even when we show up in conflict, even when we bring things forward in life that maybe aren't of the highest spiritual calling, maybe we're triggering someone, maybe we're saying something that is a little bit off base, that maybe that's also in its own perfection. Maybe that's exactly what needs to be said, or something that needs to be done in order for a change to occur. I've been teaching a workshop on anger over the past last week and this week, and I've got a third one running next week. And the energy of anger is always a very interesting kind of conversation. Basically, I started off in January saying that I wanted to get to the root of my anger. And through reading the Camino book, pretty sure I got to the root of my anger. But the universe being the way the universe is, when you say to your husband, this year, I plan on getting to the root of my anger, then the universe is like, oh, really? Okay, so we're going to bring up all of these things that bring you anger. Now, I've been laughing about it over the past couple of weeks, because the way it happened, there's like this chaos that came up in January, and it really went up in February, and then March, COVID hit. And then in June, there was some more family experiences where it was like chaos for like 7 days straight. And I was like, what the hell is happening here? But in the chaos of those 7 days straight, it started bringing up all of these like really deep feelings of anger and deep feelings of resentment and conflict within myself, and shame and guilt, and all of these really kind of dark emotions. And I sat with them for June and July. And then come August, I get a phone call, and the phone call is, would you like to teach a workshop on anger? And I was like, okay, not sure I'm the best teacher in what this is. And they're like, no, you'll be perfect. We just need you to talk to them about anger and the spirituality of anger and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, because this is what I've been doing all year. And they say that those who can't do teach, and those who do are something along those lines. So I was like, this will help me to actually understand my anger at a deeper level, and to teach others how to also do the work that I've been doing. So, long story short, here I am going into the third week of this anger workshop, and for the first time in my entire life, I believe I've gotten down to what that root cause of the anger is. Now, funny enough, I know some of you guys have been on here when I've had Sarah Hughes on from The Human Design, and I had a session with her last October, and didn't find out until last Friday that the core issue that she had given me the little homeopathic remedy for was anger. I had no idea. I started taking it. I was crying way too much in October and November, so I decided I was going to stop taking it, because I was like, this is too much for me. Lo and behold, come January, I'm like, I'm going to get to the root cause of my anger, even though I've got the magic potion for it right over here on my shelf that I'm refusing to touch right now. I'm still going to get to the root cause of my anger. And it's taken 8 months, but I'm going to tack on the last 2 months of 2019 there too, and say it's taken 10 months, almost 11 months, for me to be able to get down to that root core. Now, does this mean my anger is a bad thing, or I'm incomplete because I've got anger? Absolutely not. It means that I'm human, and it means that it's been a very basic emotion that I have carried lifetime to lifetime to lifetime, and now I'm finally ready to release that, which means lifetime to lifetime to lifetime, the anger that I held on to, it was exactly the anger that I needed to hold on to in order to get to this moment now, to experience the anger, to feel the anger, and to give myself permission to express it so I could release it once and for all. So therefore it makes that imperfection too. And that's the beauty about all of this, is it's all perfection. In all times and in all ways, it's always perfection. I hope this is making sense to everybody, because again, I feel like I'm talking in circles because I get so worked up about all of this stuff that I want to say. There's so much goodness in this world. And I think it's time that we stop telling ourselves that we need to wait, that we need to get better, or we need to be better, or we need to get the doctorate, or we need to wait until the kids get older, or we need to, whatever the case might be, whatever the excuse is, that we give ourselves permission to just really get rid of the excuses. Allow yourself to see that who you are is exactly what the universe needs right now in this moment. And it could be as small as a smile at a stranger. It could be as small as saying thank you to your grocery clerk. It could be a huge act of, running across Canada to raise money for something. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter how big or how small it is, because every single piece is just as important as the next piece in order to make the puzzle completely full. So you matter. Your existence matters. Your experience matters. Everything that has brought you up until this moment now, it absolutely matters. And the universe needs you, without any of the hows, to just simply show up and show yourself to the world. Because I don't know, there's a lot of hurt happening in the world right now. And I feel like the more we can all show up and connect with our hearts and really ask ourselves, what can I be in this moment? Can I be a smile? Can I be a friend? Can I be a listening ear? Can I be the person who rests? Can I show the world what it's like to rest? Can I show the world what it's like to forgive? Can I show the world what it's like to express anger? Can I show the world what it's like to release guilt? Every single action that you do creates a reaction. If you express your anger, you're giving hundreds of people permission to also express their anger. If you're expressing your guilt, or you're letting go of your guilt, you're also helping hundreds of other people to also release their own guilt. If you're allowing yourself to take a chance on your dreams for yourself, you're showing hundreds of other people how to step into their own dreams. We are all here to guide each other. We're all here to be a light for one another, to show each other what it is that we are capable of as humans here on earth during these times. We're here to help alleviate the pain of other people. We're here to help elevate everybody's souls. Teresa's saying, we sometimes need your light to remind us of our lit candle. Yes, and that's the thing, is we're all the light for everybody. And if someone else's candle has burnt out beside you, light it with your own flame. And again, it can be a smile. It can be anything. It can be absolutely anything. One of the biggest things that I'm going to call it a soul calling. When you have a soul calling to do an act of kindness, to do an act of goodness, to send a gift, to send a thank you, to send a letter, to just check in on a friend, all of that is you aligning yourself perfectly as the instrument for the universe to work through you. There's an old story, and I don't know who the author is. I don't know if it's a real story or a fake story that's there to just make a point. There's this story of this man who he trusted God, and there was a hurricane, I believe, that came in, and it flooded his house out. And the neighbor came with a canoe and said, I'm here to help you get out of your house and into safety. And the man said, it's okay, I'm waiting on God. And then there was not an ambulance, but like a boat paramedic that came by to save him. And he said, no, God told me he'd save me, so I'm just waiting on God. And then a military group showed up on a boat, and they're like, hey, we're here to help you. Get on the boat. And he said, no, it's fine, I'm waiting on God. And sometimes what we miss is the fact that God, the universe, whatever, sends us out to be the savers, sends us out to be the heroes. It's not going to be God opening the heaven doors and coming down to save us all. It's God talking to each of us to say, hey, call that friend, or hey, send them a message, or hey, just do a check-in. Just do a check-in, because those check-ins, especially for a lot of you guys know Janice, one of my good friends and co-workers. One of the things that she started saying a couple of years ago was check on your friends, especially the strong ones, because they're the ones who need it the most. And this is something that we've started to do regularly with each other, is just checking in, especially if we feel that something's off or we get a little bit of a nudge. It's just a check-in, and sometimes everything's fine, and for whatever reason we just needed to have a conversation. Sometimes though, there's deeper stuff that's going on, and it's so nice to have someone to reach out. And Doris, it's been absolutely awesome having coffee with you. That was one of the things that came out of COVID, was the coffee chats and connections, and it's been going on since, I'm going to say, middle of March, every Monday and Thursday morning. We have 4 to, I think with the highest we have was 13 people. So 4 to 13 people that show up every Monday and Thursday just to chat and have connection with each other, which has just been absolutely beautiful for all of us when we weren't able to see each other or to leave our houses as much as what we wanted to. And Thursday morning is the last morning for the coffee chats and connections, because kids are, well, we're supposed to go back to school next week, and now they're not, because things don't always go according to plan, but still putting an end to them this Thursday. Some other awesome things that are coming up. So Journey Healers is opening the doors again, tentatively for September the 21st. I'll be taking in-person appointments or in-person appointments again. There is only 3 appointment slots available each day, which will allow me to ensure the proper cleaning and sanitization of all surfaces in my office and in leading into my office. Janice and I over at Firefly Mediums also have the Art of Manifesting. That's coming up on October 3rd. And that's going to be, I think it's a 6-hour workshop. It's taking place on Zoom, and we're going to be chatting to you guys about creating the life that you want and how to manifest things into your life. September 26th, I've got the Ohana Generational Healing Level 1 course that's happening on Zoom as well, so anybody in the world can participate. And that will be happening from 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. that day. And then Janice and I also have the Heart Speak Retreat that's coming up April 30th, May 1st, and May 2nd. Early bird pricing is still available until September 30th. At that point, you get the not so early bird pricing. So for anybody who's wanting to join us, you can head on over to the Firefly Mediums website. It's www.fireflymediums.com/heart-speak-retreat.php for the retreat, or just go to fireflymediums.com and click on the Heart Speak Retreat. You'll be able to get all of the information from there. On that note, I want to say thank you to everybody for joining me tonight. Next week, we have Tammy Arbor coming on, and she's coming on to talk about a lot of really amazing things. This woman is such an inspiration to me. I will be posting her bio tomorrow, so you guys can get a bit of a backstory on her and what her journey has been so far and what it is that she's creating for herself. But I do hope you guys will join us, because she is such an inspiration and such a beautiful soul. On that note, I am going to end this off a little bit early tonight. Moving all day, I am tired. So have a great night, everybody. I hope you guys do join us next Tuesday for In the Spotlight with Tammy Arbor. Have a great night.